খেলবো খেলা হলো হাই হাই মুরগি আছে নিয়ম করে প্রতি মাসে আমিও আছি তুমিও রবে বন্ধু এবার খেলা হবে
Hello viewers, welcome to Our Voice News. So today we are having a great personality, an honorable personality with us, Dr. Om Prakash Mishra. Sir, welcome to our channel.
Thank you.
So firstly I would like to congratulate you on getting the candidate seat of such a geopolitically important seat.
Right, my term, right? Correct.
So sir, my first question to you is, what do you think of being chosen as the candidate of such a prime seat like Siliguri?
Well, I suppose it is a great honor to be able to contest from Siliguri on the platform of All India Trinamool Congress, led by brightest star of Indian politics, Mamata Bandyopadhyay.
Coming to my next point, what are your reactions on being called an outsider, regardless of you being a student of NBU and also being born in Malbajar? So, what do you think about this?
Well, I am a boy from Dwarfs, and of course it is correct that I did study elsewhere in North Bengal University, then at JNU, and because of my profession being a professor of international relations and politics, I am at Jadavpur University. But then, as you very aptly put it, this geopolitical space, this North Bengal and Northeast, this has always been a prime focus of my research, and this is where possibly I have had some contribution in the past, being a member of the National Security Advisory Board to the Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh.
So I would like to ask you, what are your plannings on coping up with this term of an outsider?
Well, actually nothing much. You know, people are fully aware. I have already visited 7 wards out of the 33, and this is only my 4th day here. And our workers, they are very, very enthused. And in fact, the common people of Siliguri, and many of them are related to me. They have been students, and they have been the colleagues, and then there are political friends across political divide. And so there is a very broad general acceptability of me here in Siliguri. And in fact, I feel very much emboldened further to make it.
Okay, sir. Okay. On your candidature of such a prestigious Siliguri seat being declared, there has been a lot of distress among your own party. Even we can see some revolts going on. So, what do you think? Will it affect you or the party in this election?
Well, I would not like to agree with you. Please don't mind. Everyone who aspires for the party ticket, they are all honorable people, and they have worked for the party, and it is their right that they would be expecting party nomination. But then in the ultimate analysis, it is the party leadership and their understanding, their analysis, their evaluation, and then a candidate is selected. So it has been done by our supreme leader, Mamata Bandyopadhyay. I came along with her few days back here. We had a massive rally. I was participant in this, and already I have completed 24 programs in 4 days.
Okay, sir. Okay, coming to my next point, what will be your agenda moving forward in this election? How can we see Siliguri developing in this, with your vision?
See, the first thing is that we are fighting this election to bring in a government for the 3rd time led by Mamata Banerjee. So therefore, the records and achievements of the report card of the 10 years Trinamool rule, that actually is important, because the election will be based on that. Secondly, it is about the overall national scenario in terms of the greatest distress that our farmers are in, and they are agitating, and very artificial ways in which the price rises are being, I would say, imposed on the common people by the central government. The political economy is also in great stress, and economic foundations of the country have weakened in these past 6 years. So there is anti-incumbency against the BJP also. BJP did well, quite well, but then during the lockdown period, their representatives were not seen, whereas the TMC workers were on the ground. Mamata Banerjee was on the ground, Prime Minister Modi was not. And less said about the state of affairs of the state BJP, the better. I would not like to comment.
Okay, but my question was like, what developments can we see in Siliguri especially? Like we are as we call it a chicken neck of the eastern part. So what do you think? How much important is it like for the development of Siliguri?
See, there are two aspects. One is the zone of opportunity in the geopolitical space, and North Bengal, and with the Siliguri at the center being the gateway to Northeast India, and further if you project it into the Southeast Asia. This is the opportunity part. There are concerns from the standpoint of national security and defense, and as you pointed out about the chicken neck. So this is, one may say, whether this is a choking point for us. So I suppose there has to be a very good balance, and whole lot of cooperation will be needed and required of the central government, of the state governments, and of the people. And then if you want to develop Siliguri further, if you want to further harness the potential of Siliguri, then all of us, we also have to make some necessary and temporary arrangements in terms of, issues related to rehabilitation and redrawing of the infrastructure projects and so on. I suppose I might play some role, maybe not to a very great extent, because the role of a MLA is limited, but an MLA can be a very hard pusher. He or she can be a great influencer, and they can try to influence the public policy, and definitely that will be my focus.
Okay, coming to my next point, how will you create a sense of belief among the people here in Siliguri that you will always be available to them and they can reach you with their problem anytime?
Well, only my fourth day, I'm going to get permanently based out of Siliguri. I already resigned as from the post of the Dean of Jadavpur University, and I'm pretty sure that the Mamata Express, the train that will run on 2nd May, carrying the victory from different constituency, that will also have a berth for Siliguri. And once that is done, definitely I have to be here. I will be permanently based out of Siliguri only.
Okay, sir.
I shall be coming back to my roots. I shall be coming back to my roots.
So that is great. Okay, so I'm just shifting my things to some important topics right now. So don't you think Siliguri is infiltrated by a large number of illegal immigrants? As you were there in the NSA, how big a risk factor can it be to the nation? And also adding on to the opposition is capitalizing and implementing the NRC and CAA, whereas we can clearly see that your party is totally opposing it. Why?
Well, every sensible Indian would oppose this political project called NRC and a very illegal constitutional amendment to the Citizenship Act in the form of what is called CAA, because this is not suitable at all. This is completely against international law. This is actually against the constitutional law. This has been, and the rationale supporting this type of an argument has been rejected time and again. India's constitutional democracy and the edifices and the institutions completely rejected. And that is why there is no traction among the people of this country about this so-called CAA. You want to have a CAA based on discrimination, whereas actually the refugee regime throughout the world is based on non-discrimination. You cannot discriminate amongst people based on religion or faith or in terms of gender and so on. So therefore CAA is unconstitutional. So far as the question of infiltration is concerned, every sovereign country has got every right to see to it that irregular movement, illegal movement inside the borders do not take place. Here I would like to put the blame on the central government, because national defense, border security is under the domain of the central government. If there is any laxity, then central government actually must account for it. Now, question is that if there are so many people who are come in, so who are these people, and when they have come in, it has to be legally process. It has to be, if people are there and then they are routinely prosecuted and they have to be prosecuted, and the central agencies and the state government must definitely cooperate. However, there is also a tendency to think in terms of infiltration only in terms of religion or a specific country. That is not correct. This is the type of attitude and approach that the Europeans show regard to the Africans, or regard to the Indians, or regard to the Pakistanis or Bangladeshis, or for that matter in America you will find that there is a very strong visa regime that works to our disadvantage. So far as the legal movement is concerned, that is welcome because that is regulated. Any unregulated movement, that must be discounted, and the central government must work with the state government so as to prevent it and so as to not let it happen.
Now I'm coming to a bit of your educational knowledge. So with your vast educational knowledge, what benefit will Siliguri get from the experience you possess? How helpful will it be for the citizens of Siliguri, which lacks in the field of education and development?
Well, I am into the field of education. As you know, I am with Jadavpur University. I have always combined political activity alongside interest in academics. So even while I was General Secretary of the College Students Union from Chhatra Parishad, when the left-run government came to power, I was also the gold medalist in political science. Well, I can't comment on it, but I think that I have contributed my bit. I was senior most pro-vice chancellor of the biggest university of the world, Indira Gandhi National Open University. I have done quite a bit. It is in the public domain. Education helps, but then education cannot solve all the problems. But you can very well see that the education matters, and maybe I will be able to do much more than yet others in the field of promotion of education.
I just wanted to know what is the vision regarding the education of
Well, actually, education is not in terms of confinement into geographical space. So therefore, when we talk in terms of education, we talk in terms of the education policy, central policy, University Grants Commission, state government's education policy, policies related to the various universities. We have so many new universities have come up in the last 10 years especially. And North Bengal University has actually been almost, activities, and has been a lot of expansion. So therefore, the focus is to strengthen all the initiatives which have been taken, but also to think more in terms of how to blend education, technology and education, something that I have been interested in and have promoted in a large way at the Indira Gandhi National Open University. There's a model set up there by me and my colleagues. That is something that actually the entire world is now doing it. That is online. And being a digital platform, your channel, all of us are beneficiary of this thing. So we have to think in long term. And then of course there are a huge number of schemes that the state government has put in place in order to promote girls' education, and in order to encourage the children, girl children especially, young ladies to be in the school, like Kanyashree, we have Rupashree, we have Oikoshree programs. We have free primary school system, we have midday meal scheme. All of this keeps on needing revision in terms of more positive inputs and more expansion. I suppose that we can all play a role, and MLA will also play some role in this.
Okay, sir. I just wanted to know, don't you think Bengal is losing its culture and the literature part of it? Like what we were and now what we are in Bengal right now?
Well, this is very serious question. Bengal has always been the pride of India. In fact, Bengal's culture, tradition, this is, we have been almost the harbinger of the Renaissance, and education also came to Bengal much earlier than other parts. And Bengal has also contributed a lot. At the same time, we all are going through, because of the new technologies and because of how livelihood, employment and civic culture is changing. So there is an impact of that in many spheres. So literature, art, creative art, dance forms, all of that reflects it. But Bengal is, in this sense, because of the richness of the heritage, is conservative, and that conservatism has been an essence. At the same time, Bengali youths of Bengal, they are very much fond of, yet are respectful of other cultures, other traditions, different other newer set of musics, and so therefore it is quite a mix, and it is a happy mix, it is a positive mix.
Okay, so like coming to my next question, like what do you think of the job opportunities that is in Bengal? Why do youths has to go to Chennai, Bangalore, Mumbai, Pune, Delhi to get their jobs or for the IT companies? Why not in Bengal? Why can't we have that in Bengal?
Well, actually, I do not agree with you. There are opportunities, and Bengal, like many other states, there is unemployment, gainful employment, and IT sector has been quite strong. It must be made much more stronger. Yesterday, I was having a talk with Bratya Basu, IT minister. So he plans to do a lot in this regard. And then I should also tell you that the people from Bengal, they go outside, as you mentioned, but then the obverse is also correct. Lots of people, they also come to Bengal. Bengal also has a unique, during the lockdown period and this COVID Kal, as you may like to call it, people from different parts of the country, they were pushed into Odisha, Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar. But do you know, not a single person wanted to move out of West Bengal. So therefore, there is a lot of propaganda against Bengal. So here, people are happy, they are living comfortably, and there is peace, there is tranquility, there is a sense of brotherhood. However, of course, we have economic difficulties, and this particular government, the Trinamool Congress government, has been able to overcome the negativity and the very bad legacy of the left-run government of 34 years. So we have been moving forward. I think that after this election, this is going to gain further momentum.
Now shifting my question to our Honorable CM. So what is your thought about our CM Mamata Banerjee accepting the open challenge of Suvendu Adhikari and contesting from Nandigram, which may be very difficult, whereas she could easily contest from her seat Bhawanipur and could have achieved an easy win?
Well, actually, Nandigram symbolizes a very successful movement led by Mamata Banerjee, and that movement led to the passing of drastic positive changes in how land can be acquired. So therefore, Nandigram has been her karma bhumi. Secondly, Nandigram represents agrarian Bengal, it's part of agrarian Bengal, and what we see that presently the agrarian sector is distressed because of the disastrous policies of the central government led by Mr. Modi. And our farmers, they are agitating, and we are solidly in their support. Mamata Banerjee, our Trinamool Congress, we have lent our support to this movement, which is ongoing past 4 months in the capital city, involving farmers, especially from neighboring states like Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Rajasthan and Punjab and so on. And so therefore, this should be seen not from the standpoint of any BJP challenge, the standpoint of the Nandigram being her karma bhumi and Nandigram being an agrarian belt. So far as the BJP is concerned, there has been so much of talk that who is going to contest from where. You see, the Trinamool Congress already has a huge advantage. We have already declared our candidates. BJP is just waiting when other parties, they will declare their candidates so that they can find some. Because BJP's growth has been very artificial. From 10.5% vote, they jumped to 40%, mainly based on the CPIM vote and the Congress vote. So all this is, it's very nefarious design of the CPIM to transfer their votes. So BJP's growth has been artificial. They are not even finding candidates, and they are in a poor state, and I think they are going to be in shock, and all those secret admirers of BJP are going to be on shock on the 2nd May. West Bengal is going to have a great TMC majority, overwhelming majority.
Okay, but sir, I just wanted to ask you, like, why Nandigram? She could have done that exactly the same from.
I already
itself.
told you, agrarian belt and is our karma bhumi. And the BJP saying that whether she will contest from the 2 seats or not. It was Modi who actually can I say that he did Vadodara and then opted for Varanasi. He also contested from 2 seats. We never said that he will contest. He said from Nandigram, they kept on saying that will she contest? Let her say. She is filing a nomination, and the BJP is not even, and they have someone Shubhendu Adhikari, and then they would not even name him, and he himself is not very sure to contest, and now they are in a bind. So it is which is in the lead is the BJP, which is following. They are reacting. It's fine.
But don't you think Shubhendu Adhikari has a great hold in Nandigram?
Actually, completely wrong. I know Nandigram, I know Bengal politics, and I am very glad to tell you that Shubhendu Adhikari is one person who is most fearful that his political career is at stake.
But sir, he has openly challenged to Mamata Banerjee.
It is so very easy to challenge. So many people are challenging this person, that person. He has got a mouth. He is in a party. Let him challenge. What is it?
Don't you think it's a trap?
Actually, the entire thing is a trap now for Shubhendu Adhikari. He knows it. BJP leaders know it, and they are not letting him out of that. So it is for them to decide.
Okay, sir. Okay, so my last question to you is, what do you think, how many seats will TMC get?
You see, the vote share difference between the TMC and BJP is going to be about 7 to 8% at least. TMC is the one party which has always increased the vote share, and BJP is the one party which has from 10.5% to 40%. So there is a zigzag pattern. 17% 2004, then 2016 10%. Now you have 40% in the Lok Sabha. So therefore, their vote base is not stable. Whereas Trinamool voter base is stable, and it actually keeps on getting added. So vote share difference being 7 to 8% would actually be a seat difference of almost 150 seats. So that basically means that the TMC is going to be somewhere near what Abhishek Banerjee said, close to 250. So rest of the seat 44, of course, the BJP, I'm going to tell you, BJP is going to do well compared to what they had got last time. They got 3 seats. This time they might actually even score, 5 times, 7 times, 8 times, that is 24, 30 seats.
But how are you so sure about that?
No, this is my understanding, my analysis. I might be wrong. So Amit Shah says that he is going to win 45 seats in Delhi. He may have believed it. Ultimately, it is for 8. He says he is going to win 200. People are laughing. But then at the same time, it is a free country. Let him keep on coming. Let him think in terms of getting 200 seats and so on.
Okay, sir. So lastly thing is, like, how sure about you are, like, will you win the seat of Siliguri?
Yeah, we are winning in a big way, and Siliguri is going to be part of that win.
Okay. So thank you so much for joining
Thank
our
you,
channel.
Somnath.
Okay, viewers. So today we had Dr. Om Prakash Mishra with us, and we had a great interview with him. Thanks to sir for being with our channel, and viewers, keep on watching Our Voice News. Thank you. Thank you so much.